everyone! Welcome to the Fishbowl podcast. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we have a very special guest joining us.
Hi, I'm Katherine.
We are so excited to get to hear from her and her journey as a pastor's kid.
So let's dive in.
Hey guys! So, me and Katherine go way back.
It's true.
Katherine, do you remember where we met?
Yes. So we both worked, was it seasonal?
I think so.
I think we were both seasonal at Kate Spade at the time. Has that already been like a couple of years?
Yeah, wasn't it? I think it was just after the pandemic, or was it before?
No, it had to be after because I started at Kate Spade in 2020.
Okay.
I got furloughed a week later because then COVID got massive and the lockdown and everything, so had to be after that.
It had to be after that then.
That's
yes, true. We met in a very magical place. And
That's true.
I think we were doing like a stock shift one day and we were in the back, and I don't know how, but maybe you asked me like what I did, and I said, oh, I work at a church.
That's true. So I remember this more clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, you're good. So you would bring up what you did. You worked at a church. Your dad's a pastor. Me, I said nothing. Because I guess sometimes I feel like if you immediately say to somebody, hey, my dad's a pastor, or just like, oh, I work at a church, immediately I feel like there's just people profile you right away. Yes. Even if they don't know anything about religion or anything, it's just right away they just think, they just automatically are this is how you should be, and this is what I think you are. Mm. So me, I was even though you were another pastor's kid, I was I'm not saying anything. And then it was one of the managers, I had just really felt impressed to give, some of my friends and I, we gave her, there was devotionals, the Bible and stuff. And you had brought that up. I don't know if you had a closing shift with her. And then the next time you and I worked, you brought it up and you were oh, you're a Christian too or something. And then I was like, nah, I have to say something. And then from there, I think we kind of connected more. But
I think you said, yeah, my dad's a pastor. And I was
yeah.
Oh, you're the one. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And I was there it is. It's out in the open now. So.
But I think it was really cool I knew something was different about you just because of the way you presented yourself and just some of the things you said or didn't say, I guess, you know? I was something's different about her, and it really showed. And so over the next few years, we've gotten to know each other, and you were at my wedding, which is super, super fun. And our husbands have both gotten to know each other, which has been really cool. So
yes.
And we both have had shifts together at Kate Spade in the meantime.
I know. It's always nice whenever they would. And then I felt after that, it was oh, we would work together all the time, have the same shifts. And then I felt after that, our shifts were almost never together. I was wow.
I know.
That would happen.
We have 5 minutes where we overlap.
Right. I know. High five.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you are married, right?
I am married. I've been married for a little over 3 years now.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Time goes by. That feels like it was the other day. It's just crazy. But yes, so I'm married. I do not have kids, in case anybody is wondering. And I've grown up in church my entire life. Since I was born, my dad was a pastor. So it wasn't something that happened as I was older or something. So I just kind of born into it. Just given
so
to
lucky.
me. Yes. Can you relate?
Yes.
So that's kind of been pastor's kid my whole life. My dad's still a pastor, so how old am I? I'm 27, so many years and longer since before I was born.
So your dad started pastoring where at? Not in Florida, right?
No, so it was a church in Illinois, and that church was pretty big and everything. He was an associate pastor on staff, and then we got sent from the senior pastor there. My parents were asked to come to Florida to take over a church, and at that point in time, I mean, this has been a lot of years now, decades, but that church was going through a lot of stuff. I think it was a bit scandalous at the time. Things were in the news. It was just very public, everything that was happening. So immediately there was just kind of labels thrown on us, on everything that was happening. I was young, so it wasn't, like, that whole aspect didn't really impact me. It wasn't something I understood until I got older. But that was just what we walked into. So I think I was 7, as my little 7-year-old, I was devastated to move from all of my friends.
Yeah.
My best friend at the time, like, she wouldn't even talk to me. She was just crying the whole time.
Oh my goodness.
Like, she just was,
That's so
like,
hard.
she was devastated. Yeah, so, like, little girls just, so it was, like, all my best friends. So, like, I obviously didn't want to move. It's, like, what kid is, like, yeah, this is great. I was, like, no, I don't want to, like, I don't want to go. But, so we ended up moving here. Now I love Florida, so let me put that in there. Like, don't really want to move to from Florida unless I'm, I don't know, moving to Italy or something.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
That's
very
fair.
nice. So, your dad is the lead pastor there,
Yes.
and you guys are at the same church that he moved down for?
Yes. So same church. We have a different name that happened like lots of years ago. So the name is different. Our church is Harvest Church of Tampa. I'm not even 100% sure what it was before. Like the church, that we came into. So our church is small now. We currently meet in a hotel, which I heard, or like your guys' story with tearing down, setting up. Thankfully, we don't have to do all of that, but so I understand that aspect as well. But that,
Do you, I assume you attend that church?
Yes, I do. And it was funny too, because when James and I, that's my husband, when James and I were dating, he went to a different church. Obviously, our story's weird, but I'm not going to get into that. But I was like, I'm not, this is me. I was like, I'm not going to a different church. Like that was not something, like, I don't know. I would have been like, nope. Like, that was just one of those things where I was like, that can't happen for me. One of those things.
I think we would have been in the same boat.
Yeah. You were even, Kurt, my husband, attended a different church at the time, and I was like, okay, well, you're coming to my church now, so.
It wasn't anything, like, threatening or nasty, but we kind of were like, okay, this is our place, and so we want you to love what we love.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I feel like it would be weird to go to a different church. Like, as a pastor's kid, to go to a different church, if your dad is a pastor, like, I don't know, maybe if they were retired or something, like, I don't know, that could be totally different, but, like, if your parents are pastoring and then you go to a different church but you live in the same area, like, that would be hard. I don't know, that's weird, that's hard. I almost feel like that's wrong too, like, that's me. But
we talked about, I think in the previous podcast, or like a few episodes back, we were talking about, like, when you're a pastor's kid, you have the call of that church on your heart, and so it's kind of like something where you're going to stick to that. And I can see what you mean, like, going to a different church, it's like you're carrying the call of your church, but, like, you want to, like, stay with that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's true.
Definitely get that. Yeah. That's totally fair. So tell us a little bit about, like, your involvement in your church growing up. Like, were you super involved kid? Did you kind of want to stay on the outskirts? How did that work?
Yeah, so I was definitely involved. I feel like if you're a pastor's kid, you're kind of involved in anything and everything.
Fair.
What did you, tell us what you did not do. How about that?
I'm just kidding. I didn't preach on Sunday mornings, but
there's one thing.
Right, but I don't know, I've been in the worship team before.
I wish I could say I'd been on our church worship team.
Yeah.
I was not, but
that's something we've never done.
Yeah, we did not do that.
I played guitar for a little bit.
Wow, she does it all, guys.
I didn't even know that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, not well, but I did it.
I love that.
Where there's a need, you just jump in.
Step in. Yeah. Did you like that kind of stuff? Like, did you like jumping into things? Did you like serving, or were you always kind of like dreading it? Like,
I like the behind the scenes of things.
Okay.
Like, I don't mind doing all the stuff that nobody sees, or, just, there's so much that goes into, like, even events, or if there's, like, a guest speaker or something. Like, there's just a lot that people don't see and don't know that happens. And I like being behind the scenes. I don't prefer to be front and center, but there have been times where it's like I have led youth group meetings, or like sometimes when my dad's out of town, it's like now that I'm older, he'll ask me to preach Sunday morning or something, and so
no way.
You've done that? Yes.
Oh my god,
I didn't know that.
So
Amazing.
So I'll do stuff like that now, but it's like I don't necessarily prefer that, but like I would rather be behind the scenes. And I don't know if like most Pat how do you guys feel about it? Are you guys more comfortable behind the scenes, or do you think maybe that's more of like a personality thing? I don't know.
I personally like to be behind the scenes, but the job that I do now, I have to be out front a little bit more. But luckily I have a different last name now, so sometimes people don't know I'm related to the pastor, and I'm okay with that. Which is kind of nice. But I do prefer to be behind the scenes and do stuff like that. What about you, Brooke?
I think I could go either way. I think the thing with me is that I'm more of like a big picture person, whereas like you're really good with like details, Sydney.
Yeah.
So I feel like with big picture comes like you kind of have to be out front a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I say that, and then it's like I don't want people to like recognize me or like know who I am. But no, I think I could go either way.
You're really good at like on the spot though.
Yeah, I like jumping.
I like to plan something before I say it or do it.
Yeah,
that's true. So I feel like sometimes though, like if I'm just winging it, I don't know. Sometimes I almost feel like it comes out better for me.
Yeah.
Like the less notice I have, the more
true.
I don't have to like mull it over or have the time to maybe let anxiety or something like try to come in, but instead I'm just
like this
so
podcast.
true.
Like just let me just jump right in, both feet.
I love that.
I literally texted you and said, "Hey, would you be available when you do the podcast?" And you were like, "I'm free tomorrow."
I was like tomorrow. In my
it.
mind, I was like, I know it's gonna end up being tomorrow.
But it works out.
Exactly. I love that. Guys, Katherine is so humble. She's like talking about worship leading, and then she's like, and I preach sometimes. Like, are you kidding me? This is so cool. I wish everybody listening could just be here right now. This is so cool. All right, Katherine. So we've heard a little bit about your background and your upbringing in ministry. Now we want to move on to kind of like some struggles you might have experienced. So talk to us. What was your biggest struggle that you had to navigate as a pastor's kid?
Right, so I definitely feel like there's probably more than one I mean, everybody's different. There's going to be lots of struggles. So maybe like what's the biggest thing for me might be different for you and, vice versa. But one of the biggest struggles that comes just with being in ministry and having your family in ministry is the relationship aspect. Not really always knowing what people's intentions are, or building up walls, or even just becoming more cynical as time goes on. That's something that I've dealt with, where it's like you just put up walls and your first thought is always maybe like something negative, or you just expect something negative to come from people. There's a verse that I was thinking of this morning just kind of in regards to this, and I wanted to read it out of a couple of different translations, but the first one is out of the New Living. It's Proverbs 29:25. It says, "Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety." And a lot of times I think that there's just like a fear to open up to people, or there's a fear to let people in, and it's can just really cause you to be isolated if you're not careful, or just to stay within your realm of maybe like people, or people that you feel safe with or comfortable in. Not that you should open up if you feel unsafe, that's not what I'm saying, but it's important to have an open heart. And for me, I know even like my journey to get into like a more intimate relationship, like with my husband, like when we were dating and things like that, it's like I have to mentally, like you have to focus on having an open heart. And that was something like even before him and I got to know each other and things like that, where it was just something that I was really seeking God about. just in general was like, I want to have a more open heart to people and to opportunities, because I think you can let a lot of things pass you by because you're just either so like pretty much just jaded from like the experiences that you've had or the things you've seen from other people. Even like in church, you're gonna see people come and go. That's just the nature of it. Like you can't avoid it. And that same verse, Proverbs 29:25 out of the Message says, "The fear of human opinion disables. Trusting in God protects you from that." And I was thinking about this in regards to just the fishbowl concept, where if you look into like a big fish tank or something, and you look in and you can see, it almost looks like the fish is magnified. Yeah. And you see that, and people are just going to have something magnified on you. But there's another aspect where if you turn to the side of the fish tank, you may not see that fish at all.
Oh my gosh.
Because of depending on where you're looking, or where people are looking at you. And a lot of times that can lead to people misunderstanding you, or you just feeling misunderstood. Like people don't always understand where you're coming from, why you do what you do, why you believe what you believe, why you stay in church. Like there's just a lot of things, and it's not always for people to know, because that human opinion, it does disable you from living life the way you're called to, or the way you're supposed to, or the way that even you want to, because there's just a fear of what people think, or like a fear of being embarrassed, or a fear of like whatever it is. And I think that like a lot of what pastors' kids or ministry kids deal with can stem from fear. Like whether it's the fear of opinions, or you're just disappointed or afraid that people can't understand you the way that you think you are, but you're just largely misunderstood. Yes. And because there's just so much that people see, or so much that people don't see, depending on where they're standing, or depending on the perspective they want to have of you. So I think those are some of the biggest struggles that I faced just being in ministry growing up. So
wow, really I think that's so good.
She just preached the whole message.
Yeah, amen. Like let's just wrap it up there. I think, I mean, me and Sydney could speak into this, but we definitely can relate to having guards up, being a little bit more cynical at times, being
I thought it was just us.
I guess it's very just us. Yeah. No, this is so cool, and hopefully to somebody listening, you can realize if you're feeling that way, you're not alone in that. We've been there.
So, kind of like a story of Sydney and I. She's like, where is this going to go? Yeah. But just like about how you always have walls like up, or you're kind of more guarded. So I have never been a touchy-feely person. I am more now that I'm married. Like, you have to be, like type of thing. But like growing up, I hated hugs. I did not want people to touch me. Like, don't touch me. Don't. People would make fun of the way that I hug, because I would have friends, like, other girls or different things. Even, like, when I was in college, like, just some girls are just huggers. Like, they just hug. And some guys are like that, too. I'm not, like, it's not excluded. But one of the times I don't know if we hung out, or it was, like, the four of us. Like, we did a double date. And I don't know why, but I went in to hug you. And it was like the most awkward hug. And in my mind, I was like, why did I even do that? Because I'm not a hugger. And
neither am I.
I was like, I know you're not a hugger. And I was like, why did I do, like, where on the inside was I like, this is a great idea. Let's say that. But like, I'm saying that to say, like, even like something as simple as that, where it's like, just like you want to protect your space. Like, who you are, it's like, don't come near me, don't touch me. It's like, I don't know you the way you think you know me. So it's like, don't, like, just, 6 feet. That was the one thing out of, like, when everything with COVID was happening, I was like, oh, hallelujah. Like, finally, everybody can agree to what I've been trying to put out for, all these years. But, so.
That's so funny.
That's really funny. I've never been a touchy person. And it's comforting to know that maybe it's a PK thing.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
if it's
we'll do a poll, a little survey. Who's a hugger and who is.
So with all of the struggles that come with being a pastor's kid, and everyone looking at you this is something that we realize you either like kind of go one of two ways as a pastor's kid. You either become rebellious or you're not rebellious. And so I kind of wanted to know what end of the spectrum that you kind of fell on, and if you weren't rebellious, what kind of kept you from that?
Right. So me, I'm an angel.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
She is, guys.
Just hand delivered from heaven, you know. No. I'm never really rebel, and that's not really my thing. But I have an older brother who has chosen just a different walk in life and everything. So seeing that growing up, just because there was a little bit of an age gap, just made me not want to maybe like do certain things or go a certain way, because it's like when you see that and you see maybe like what it produces or even like what it doesn't produce, it's like you don't want that. And it's like I've had so many friends growing up, also like ministry kids and or pastors' kids and stuff, that aren't walking with God now, you know, like the same age as me, and just like they're just done. And it's not that they don't know it or, you know, or don't know that it's the right thing, but there's just so much pressure, I think, that comes with that, to be a certain way or to act a certain way, or people's perceptions of you, and if you don't live up to that or whatever it is. I remember like being like, sometimes when there's a guest speaker or whatever, it's like all the kids or whoever's serving and everything will all be back there, but all the kids are like in a separate area. I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but it would be like that growing up. And I remember just as a kid, like trying to just be a kid, basically, you know, like being rowdy or whatever with the other kids. And I got pulled aside from someone that was, you know, supposed to be watching other kids, and was like, you're literally like, you're the pastor's kid, so I need you to be the example to the other kids. And I was like, okay, like just moving on,
I'm
you know,
just
like,
a kid.
just a kid.
Girl.
But it's like people expect so much of you, even if you are at a young age or whatever it is. And I think it's like that probably for everybody that has grown up in this way or has found themselves in this, even if it's a little bit later in life or whatever. It's like you just, like, you can go one of each way. And I think too, it's so important. Like, I cannot stress it enough. And I guess this would kind of be advice that I would give to other ministry kids, is you have to experience a relationship with God for yourself. You cannot base your walk with God on your parents or your family. You cannot do that. It does not sustain you. There may be like some sort of like an overlying protection around you because you're connected that way, but as soon as you break yourself off from it, it's like the truth of the matter is like you're not walking with God. Like, that's just what it is. It's so important to wrestle with God, to kind of like with Jacob in the Bible, like he wrestled with the angel of the Lord. Like he like was physically wrestling with that. And I think that's just a clear depiction of like, we have to wrestle. Like Jacob in that instance was going through so much, was going through like issues with his family, with his brother, with all of these things. He was scared for his life, for his family. There was so much going on there, but he was still found himself in a position where he was wrestling with God and was not going to let go or alleviate that stance that he took in that fight until he said, I'm not going to let go until you bless me, which makes me think like he's wrestling, but like he was getting, like, I don't know, James was like, maybe he had him in a chokehold, like we were talking about, you know, recently. And it's like, you know, you don't know, but it's like you have to like dive in. Don't just take somebody's word for it. Like, don't just take your parents' word for it, and don't just take, even on the other spectrum, if it's things in the world or you want to experiment with a different lifestyle, don't just take somebody else's word for it, whatever it is. It's like you have to dive in and dig in for yourself. God is not intimidated by the questions of your heart. If there is something that you feel like you want to try, or like you're deterred from walking with God or Christianity or whatever it is because of just the things you've seen, or kind of like we were saying, like you see people come and go, or you see people with ulterior motives and things like that. It's like if you let those things define your relationship with God, then it's not a relationship with God. It's just your perception on, you know, what you have of other people in regards to God. And that's a totally separate thing. So it's like you have to like take the word, eat it, chew on it, swallow it, digest it. Like you have to do that for yourself. It's not enough to just get by with, like if you're in ministry, because it's like you feel like you're in it so much, you know, like your life, like even when you're home, it's like not just, like ministry is not just like a weekend job, you know, like I work weekends. Amen. It's not. Yes. It is like every day, 24/7. It can be taxing to be in that so much. So it's like you have to have that time to like not just recharge, but to like investigate God for yourself. Because if not, then you're basing who God is just on what Christian culture is, quote unquote. So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow, that is so amazing.
All right, so now that we've talked about kind of some of the heavy stuff and stuff that you've gone through, what your advice would be, I would love to just kind of end it with maybe some laughs, and I would love to know a funny moment that you've had in ministry, or just something crazy that's happened that you're like, no one else is going to even understand.
Right. So initially when I saw this question, I was like, there is nothing funny about ministry. Like it is just serious business 24/7. Like that is it. No. But then I thought about it and I was like, oh man, one Halloween, I don't know if maybe I was like 12, 13, probably somewhere around there. It's like when there's Halloween events at church and things, you know, it's like kids are going to dress up, they're doing whatever it is. But there's always like a dress up thing. And I decided one year that I was going to dress up as my dad. Like I was going to be the pastor that year.
No way.
So that was like your number one costume.
Right. Idea. So I don't know, I probably had little socks. I wore a little blazer, I had a little black velvet blazer. I wore that. I got a tie. I think I had a tie, like a little girl's tie. I don't know. That was me trying to be, my little edgy self. But I like this little tie. We were literally in the bathroom, in the girls' bathroom. Somebody else was helping me. On YouTube, we're trying to like figure out how to tie a men's tie. Like nobody knew how to do that. So we're like trying to do that. We finally figured that out. And then my friend, she's a hairstylist, she like gelled my hair completely back because my dad has like really short hair and stuff. And I was like, I can't make it seem like my hair is super long. Like that's going to mess everything up. And so I did that. I like did the whole thing. I had on like probably the little loafers. I think I wore like my little loafers to make it look like I had dress shoes on and stuff. And that was what I did. And I went up there and I don't even think, my dad didn't even recognize me.
I was going to ask if he knew you were doing this.
Oh, no. For sure not. No. I feel like every year I should just dress up as like a different person from my family. I think that would be so great. But so I did that and then they like had me come up like to the stage and then I was like imitating him the whole time. It was so funny. And then there's a picture somewhere. My mom has photos from that. And then not too long ago, my mom was like going through photos or something, and he saw that photo and was like, "Who's that little boy next to me?" or something. And I was like, "Yes!" I was like, I know, like pure success right there because
too good.
He didn't even know it was me. I was like, "That's me." I was like, "As you, that's who it is." Wow. So that was, you know. How many people can dress up as their dad? Maybe celebrities. I don't know. Like if they have like a face.
That's true.
Tell me you had a different childhood without telling me you had a different childhood. I dressed as my dad for Halloween.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, Sydney, I know what we're being for Halloween this year.
Yes. If we dressed up as dad, I don't even know how we would do that. But
that would be great.
We would figure it out.
Yeah.
I know, you get creative. It's like you gotta get your creative genes working there.
Yeah.
For that.
Like if you told that out of context to someone else, we'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But like me, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, makes sense. Yeah, good idea. Maybe I'll do that.
All right, Katherine, it's been so fun hearing your perspective on everything and hearing about you and your story growing up. And thank you so much to everyone who's listening and is joining us on this journey.
Thank you so much for being here and being willing to be on our podcast.
My pleasure.
And I'm just so grateful for how the Lord has used your story as a pastor's kid to impact so many. So if you're like us and you enjoyed hearing from Katherine and want to know where you can find more content from her, then you will absolutely love following along with her blog called The Group Message. You can find it at thegroupmessage.com. The Group Message empowers and encourages us to seek the heart of God. Cultivating a personal, thriving relationship brings fulfillment and joy within ourselves that must be shared with others. These timely topics hope to bring an authentic journey with our loving Father. Again, if you enjoyed this from Katherine, be sure to support her. Click on the link that's going to be in the show notes to her blog and follow along with her. Thank you so much, and let's go ahead and pray out. Dear Lord, I thank you so much to each and every person listening to this podcast, whether they're a pastor's kid, a kid in ministry, a parent of a kid in ministry, or just a girl trying to navigate life as a believer in Jesus Christ. I pray you would bless them, and I pray you would use Katherine's story just to impact them in so many different ways, and that you would speak through her to touch so many lives. And I thank you so much for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
All right, that's it for this episode. As always, you can find the link to our website in the show notes, or you can just go to fishbowlpodcast.podbean.com. We'd love to keep hearing from you. Keep sending your questions so we can answer anything that you might be wondering about or wanting to talk through.
Don't forget to like this podcast, subscribe, leave a review so that we can get this podcast out to more pastors' kids, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time in the Fishbowl.